Welcome to CJeanne Clarity podcast, a space to explore our clarity journey from survival to authenticity. I'm CJeanne, and here we dive into the raw truths of breaking free from the expectations we've grown up with, rediscovering our voices and thriving after life's challenges. But this isn't just about my story. It's about life, from relationships and to self-discovery to the messy, beautiful questions we all face. No topic is off limits here. So if you're ready to embrace courage, healing, and living life on your own terms, you're in the right place. Let's connect, let's grow, and welcome to the journey. Before we dive in, a quick disclaimer. This podcast is for informational and inspirational purposes only. I'm not a licensed therapist, counselor, or medical professional, and the content shared here is based on personal experiences and insights. If you're facing significant challenges, please seek the support of a qualified professional. Remember, your journey is unique, and you deserve the care and guidance that's right for you. Welcome. I am excited today for today's subject, but then again, when am I not, right? So today, our title is going to be Unlearning Productivity, Living Intentionally in a World that Worships Output. Today, we're talking about something that looks innocent, but is quite exhausting millions of people. Yes, productivity. Not healthy ambition, not purpose-driven work, but the belief that your worth is measured by your output. For most of my life, I didn't walk to enjoy walking. I walked to complete a task. I worked out to complete a task. I lived to complete tasks. And I didn't even realize I was doing it. Today, we're unpacking how productivity became our identity, why it keeps our nervous systems in survival, how toxic environments weaponize output, and how to slowly return to intentional living. So I think to myself, where productivity became our worth. You know, there's times where parents praising achievement over presence. Now, I'm not going to shame any parents. No, I'm not going to do that because they went through the same conditioning as we did, right? The thing is we believe that if we can achieve as many things in this world, then that means we have worth, right? It's not just about just being there, loving you for just the way you are. And I totally get it. In this world, it has been, I guess you would say, rigged to the point where if you don't do this, then you don't get the job you've always wanted. But I'm going to tell you, or the husband, children, whatever you want to call it, you don't get it. But I'm going to tell you here that it's really not about that. It's about who you know. So there's times where school rewarding performance. How many times did we get rewards for doing the best, right? Honor Society, the spelling bee contests, everything out there. If you did wonderful in math, science, art, all those things. I'm not saying you should not recognize people, but I feel like for some, that productivity was so excruciatingly stressful. And for others, they never just made it to that and they just dropped off the face of the earth. Church rewarding service. How many times did I ever hear, oh, you were so wonderful. Let's give you a whole bunch of different, placements in church. And you're thinking, how in the world is this person getting so many of them? And I can't even get one. I don't know. Work regarding, how about work? Rewarding overextension. This is a big one. How many times do people feel like if they work so much that they'll get rewarded later on, right? Those dang promotions that get dangled in front of your face and they never come to be? Yeah. We were conditioned to equate exhaustion with virtue. I don't know how many times people are just tired I'm tired. I'm like, why am I working so much? To be liked, to be, doing work, to have somebody think that I have worth. And today when I was walking, I was like, wait a minute. This all makes sense. Everything is measured by productivity. If not, then they believe you have no worth. And the sad thing is, you yourself start believing that, and you start equating productivity. If I'm worthy, it's not okay. How many times does this grind culture say, if you're tired, you're valuable. If you're busy, you matter. If you're resting, you're falling behind. There was times when I was a little girl and I figured, what I would love if I would walk around with my cell phone and I'm talking to people. I had my laptop and I felt to myself, that meant that I was successful and that I was wanted in life. Now that I've worked a lot, no, that just means you're enslaved, to the grind, the productivity, and you get stressed out. And then when you get tired, you shame yourself thinking, wait, I should be able to keep going. And how many times do people drink energy drinks, coffee, whatever stimulant they can to keep going? And then once they start feeling tired or they can't sleep, they start taking stuff to help them sleep, So to me, I believe that there has to be a balance. I'm not going to say that you're just not going to do anything, nor do I say you work yourself to exhaustion. There has to be a balance because I think that's important. But what if productivity was never supposed to define us? I believe that it should have never defined us. We should be able to have that definition of who we are, how we're loved, and know that whatever you decide to do in life, it doesn't mean that just because you're not jumping hoops and mountains and whatnot at 100 miles an hour does not mean that you don't have worth, So what do? Productivity is survival mode. We live under expectations, right? If you don't cook, clean, pick up the kids, garden, work, keep the hubby happy, what are you then, right? I've seen so many things of the past of how women were told what value they had, of how well they cooked, how well they always presented themselves, how well they had the children in line, and how well they had the husband happy. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong, particularly if that's something you like. What I'm saying is when you overextend yourself, you forget yourself, and then you think, what was I doing? Being in a toxic environment where output was never enough. I've been in situations that no matter how hard you did things, you were criticized that you weren't good enough. I tell myself, hey, I've always been good. But these environments, when they hold what you have in your hand, it's hard. I don't know about you. You're always on a rush. Your body's rushing to do everything. You're rushing to do, get up, get everything done, have the kids out, lunches, get to the schools, to work. Then you rush to get work done. Because why? You have productivity goals. You rush to come back home, pick up kids, get the laundry done, have dinner ready, have the garden done, and even still be there for the spouse, right? And I believe that's not okay. Once you wake up to it, you think, oh my gosh, decades have gone by and I never got to enjoy it. That's the hardest part. When you tell yourself, what was I thinking? And then you think, I wasn't thinking, I was just doing, just trying to survive. Why? Bills come. They don't care if you're happy. They don't care if that you want meaning in life. You just know that they want their money and they want it now. When you're in survival mode, rest feels unsafe. I tell you that after I got out of my toxic relationship, I was so tired that I made sure I took naps. And sometimes I felt so guilty because I was like, why am I taking naps? But then I found out that those naps were because I was so exhausted mentally, spiritually, emotionally, drained. And now my body was trying to catch up to get better. And even these days, I do little power naps. I make sure I have a little alarm. And then once I get up, I feel refreshed and I keep going. You may have felt guilty for sitting still. There's times I feel guilty for sitting still. I move my legs up and down because I'm like, wait, I need to be doing something. And then I have to tell myself, calm down. You're okay just to sit. Overperform to avoid criticism. I don't know how many of you perform so much so you're not criticized and told that you're lazy, that you're just taking time and you're not doing anything. I mean, come on. Even machines have time to power down. Associated slowness with danger. There's times where I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm taking too much time. I need to cut it down. I need to get going faster. Today when I was walking, I walked around and the walking path and everything. And to myself, I said, wow, why am I running? In my head, I thought, I need to walk. I need to go do some Pilates. I need to go get lunch. I need to get other things done. And then get every task done. And then I can come home and do some more stuff. And then I can go to bed. How many times do we live this way? Just task, task, task. And we don't get to enjoy the walk. So today, I actually enjoyed walking. And when I enjoyed the walk went too fast. I was like, I can walk again. But, of course, reality is reality. But at least I got to enjoy that walk. That's not laziness. It's awakening. That's safety returning. I don't know about you, but I feel like a lot of people are awakening now. And they're thinking, what is the most valuable thing in life? We were bamboozled to do so much. And at the end, people got sick, tired, and didn't get anything. Now you just have more bills than you wanted. Some people are more sick. And now you have to pay for more bills. Instead of saying, hey, I'm going to enjoy it. Pick up a coloring book. Write. Play games with your kids. Just sit out there, outside in your backyard or front yard. Drink a cup of tea. Enjoy a book. It's something that's important. So, workplace productivity and invisible pressure. I don't know about you. At work, I get it. They have metrics. Why? It's someone else's dream. And you've been hired because you said you can get the work done. I don't have a problem with that. My problem is being measured by metrics to the point that it is beyond humane. So now your fear of appearing that you're idle. Oh my gosh, heaven forbid you have to. And there's times when you can be on the phone on hold and you're still afraid that they're going, well, why isn't she putting more output? And you're thinking, wait a minute, I'm on the phone. I'm at the mercy of the automated system on the other side or the other person who has put me on hold. So why? And then you feel like you have to over explain why. And then they look at you like, how come you couldn't get the answers quicker? And you're thinking, what? Or worse, when you need to look busy. You know how many videos I saw on Instagram of people trying to appear like they're busy? I know they're for comedy, but it's the sad reality. And you know what's even worse? When I read the comments and people are like, well, why don't you just work? Problem solved. And I'm thinking, oh, you must be the ones who are putting those horrible, productivity guidelines in place. But yet, these are the individuals that don't do the same productivity. The irony of it. Corporations optimize output. Humans require restoration. We all have that internal fear. If I'm not constantly producing, I'm replaceable. I think that is the most toxic feeling that you can feel. That if you're not work, you're going to be replaceable. Well, let me tell you something. I saw something too where somebody passed away at their job. And guess what? They were still replaceable. They put somebody else in their place. So why not take care of yourself? You're damned if you do, damned if you don't. So why not just go live? Live for yourself. You are not a machine. You are a human with seasons, rhythms, and limits. What intentional living actually means. Slow living is not quitting ambition. It's removing urgency without meaning. Intentional living means choosing instead of reacting, being present in what you're doing, letting your nervous system breathe. So what can you do? Doing one thing without multitasking. That is the heaviest word. And we feel so proud to say, oh, I'm a multitasker. Well, you know what? You shouldn't be doing that. I doubt you are putting makeup, eating, and driving, and texting at the same time. Okay, I know some people have. Please don't. Creating slow windows. Measure days by meaning, not metrics. The lie of if you slow down, you'll fall behind. Challenge this belief. Ask yourself, behind who? According to whose timeline? Burnout is not a badge of honor. Overextension is not spiritual. Exhaustion is not proof of devotion. You're allowed to live a life you can sustain. I'm telling you, once you're burned out, you're in trouble. It is hard to get back. So help yourself. I'm going to give you some homework journal prompts. 1. When did I first learn that productivity equals worth? 2. What do I fear would happen if I slowed down? 3. Whose voice do I hear when I feel lazy? 4. What activities make me lose track of time in a joyful way? 5. If my life wasn't about proving anything, what would change first? I encourage you, sit down with discomfort. That's where rewiring begins. And let's sit down. Our favorite part, the little guided meditation. Returning to your own pace. Take a deep breath in and slowly release. Let your shoulders drop. Let your jaw soften. You do not need to earn this moment. Feel your body resting, not achieving, not producing. Just existing. Imagine yourself walking beside a quiet lake. No timer, no tracking, no destination. Just steps. Notice how your body moves when it's not being evaluated. Feel your breath finding its own rhythm. You are not behind. You are not late. You are not insufficient. You're simply here. Imagine placing down a heavy backpack. Inside it are expectations, deadlines, other people's opinions. Set it down. Feel the relief in your spine. Now gently repeat. I move at the pace of my peace. I move at the pace of my peace. Allow silence for integration. You're allowed to live gently. You're allowed to live intentionally. You're allowed to enjoy your own life. Take one more deep breath. When you're ready, return, carrying nothing but yourself. It's time to wiggle your toes, your hands. Wake up from the beautiful time that we had. Maybe this weekend you'll walk without tracking it. Maybe you cook without rushing. Maybe you sit without reaching for your phone. You don't have to dismantle your whole life overnight. You just start by choosing presence once a day. Your worth is not your output. You were worthy before you ever produced anything, and you still are. Thank you so much for joining me on today's episode on the CJeanne Clarity podcast. I hope it gave you something to think about, feel, or explore on your own journey. If this episode resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Feel free to share it with someone who might need it or reach out to connect. Let's get this program to grow, this podcast. Get as many people to start following. I believe this is our year where we get to start finding clarity, where we get to start learning to live life on our own terms. Until next time, thank you so much.